Aloha, and welcome to Trust and Verify, the only show where the host constantly tells you, don't trust me, verify it. Speaking of verify, we finally got the man, the myth, the legend, Boogie. He's off of the ship. They finally let him go. There was something about the brig, and he needed to get bailed out. I don't know the whole story, but he's here. Finally, after 2 weeks. Boogie, my friend, my partner, my co-host. How you doing?
Very good, James. Good to be back. Good to be back in the hot seat. I hope you have spent the week mentally preparing our audience for the inevitable downswing in enjoyment that they are no doubt about to experience based off the monumental success you had last week. Okay.
Time out. Guess what? Since you've been gone, I forgot how to produce the show, and I fucking forgot to unmute us again. See what happens when you go live like the minute. I had the best opening ever. Aloha and welcome to Trust and Verify, the only show where the host continually tells you, don't trust me, verify it. Finally back from the ocean, Boogie Bumper is here. I said there was something about a brig and something about needing to get bailed out, and we hadn't heard from him. He's finally here, back by popular demand. My friend, my partner, my co-host, Boogie. Boogie, how you doing?
Oh, put me back on the fucking ship already, will you? Oh, what a shit show. It's good to be back.
I thought I went deaf.
Oh my God, I can't hear a thing. What the hell is going on? Here we go. We're back. We're rolling. Yeah, it's good to be back. And I was just saying, James, I hope you have spent the week mentally preparing our audience for the inevitable downswing in enjoyment that they are no doubt about to experience based on how successful the show was last week, my friend. But I don't even need to say that anymore because you've already done that. You know, like you've already successfully lowered the enjoyment factor for our audience. So well done, sir. You continue to surprise me week in, week out. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Oh, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Pretty chaotic week. How have you? Yeah, how have you been dealing with it?
Well, it's same week. It's just a different thing. You know, it's work, and more work. So it was. I'm telling you right now, I tell this to the audience all the time, and I mean it. You guys don't understand how difficult it is to put this particular show on. Forget all the other shows. Most of those are, varying degrees of difficult. But this show right here that I tried to duplicate last week, just to the smallest degree, it just can't be done. A lot of people don't realize this, and I'm going to go ahead and give away the secret one more time. I very rarely do this. So if you're listening and you want to learn something, we both live produce this show. So the reason that this show runs so quickly and smoothly and you've got so much stuff going on the screen is because there's two producers on the show live producing every episode. So I do about half the show. He does about half the show. So when he wasn't here, I couldn't figure out what the hell I was doing. I was like, I couldn't even pull off our signature move. I was like, yeah, fuck the hammering. There's no fucking way I can do the hammering by myself. Just can't happen. I need another producer. So glad to have you back. Take the weight off of my shoulders. All I have to do is come along for the ride, and I love it.
Oh, well, it's good to be back. I'd like to open up today's show, James, with a little bit of a preface. So I'm going to play a little bit of the interview that Andrew McCabe made with 60 Minutes. I know it's got a little bit of age on it, but I've just got back, so give me a little bit of leeway because there's a couple of things here I think we need to discuss. Check this out. And there it goes, working as usual.
The Deputy Attorney General offered to wear a wire into the White House. He said, I never get searched when I go into the White House. I could easily wear a recording device. They wouldn't know it was there. Now, he was not joking. He was absolutely serious, and in fact, he brought it up in the next meeting we had. I never actually considered taking him up on the offer. I did discuss it with my general counsel and my leadership team back at the FBI after.
Wait. I never genuinely considered taking him up on the offer, but as soon as I was out of the meeting, I spoke with the general counsel and the leadership team at the FBI about that offer that I was never going to consider. Is this guy the dumbest FBI director who's ever lived at this point? I mean, what the hell is this guy doing? Is this throwing everybody under the bus? I want to show you an article here from the Washington Post, James. Senate panel will probe McCabe's claim that Rosenstein raised possibility of ousting Trump through 25th Amendment. Rosenstein has a big target on his back thanks to this guy, because if you'll remember back, if you'll cast your mind back, pardon me, It was actually Rod Rosenstein who recommended that Andrew McKay be removed. Do you remember that? People think it was Donald Trump who sacked Andrew McKay, but wasn't. Rod Rosenstein recommended it, and Jeff Sessions signed it, right? He signed his release papers. And since then, Andrew McCabe has found himself in a world of trouble with grand juries and whatnot. So I tend to think this little PR campaign is about trying to save his reputation and get back at the guy who put the Bunsen burner under his backside to begin with, right? But listen to this. This is where I think people are going to have legitimate concerns, and this is what I think needs to change. Look at this. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman James Lindsey Graham said Sunday that his panel will investigate former acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe's claim that Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein raised the possibility of ousting President Trump through the 25th Amendment, calling the statement, quote, beyond stunning. There's an allegation by the acting FBI Director at the time that the Deputy Attorney General was basically trying to do an administrative coup, take down the peasant president through the 25th Amendment process, Graham said in an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation. The Deputy Attorney General denies it. I promise your viewers the following, that we will have a hearing about who's telling the truth and what actually happened. Here's my genuine question for you, James. And, well, let me preface the question with a statement. I'm not excited. I'm too cynical at this point. How about getting some results from all of these investigations before we start jumping up and down and celebrating another investigation? How many times have we seen McCabe, Comey, Clapper, Brennan lie in front of Congress? Nothing happens. Investigation after investigation for the public, right? And, you know, I get a little bit annoyed when people come out and say, well, they're just going to investigate and nothing's going to happen. And then people get angry at those people and say, well, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. I get that. Things take time. There's a bit of theater involved. But I think people have a genuine right to feel cynical at this point, don't you? Like all of these investigations, so what? We're throwing our lot in with Lindsey Graham now? Oh, don't worry. We're going to have an investigation and ask him questions. Oh, bravo, Lindsey. Bravo. Asking the guy some more questions. Well, this is surely the end of it, right? James, walk people off the ledge. Why does this matter?
In many ways, I agree with you, actually, is that almost everything you've said, right? The only difference here that I would say that is that you have to trust Donald Trump. Like every step of the way, Donald Trump has won. It's amazing. Like even when, you and I have been paying attention to politics most of our lives, we get it. We see the politics coming. That's what we do here on Trust and Verify is explain the politics. What the hell are these people doing? In this particular sense, this one area is that the X factor that's been there since he won the election has been Donald Trump. Every single time he has won, and everything that we've predicted was going to happen has happened, including build the wall. And this last rally in El Paso, when the crowd was saying finally again, like I want you to think about this. You and I both know when we give a speech, right? Even now we're doing a show. If I say the right thing, I know I'm going to get the right response because I'm leading everybody to the response. I'm going down that path and I'm leading them to right where I want them to be. Well, Donald Trump is doing that on the grand, massive scale. And so he knows he's leading everybody to the chance, lock her up. So if at any point he wanted to stay away from that, he would have stayed away. He would have not directed energy towards that. He would have made sure in his speeches he didn't lead people to the chant. He would have told all his backers, hey, don't start this freaking chant. I'm tired of hearing it, right? He would have done all that. Never did it. Then in El Paso, finally for the first time, when they started saying lock her up, he said, that's sounding better, or that's starting to make more sense. That's what he said. That's starting to make more sense. Like, think about what he's doing, what he's saying. And then we look at the strategic plays that have been happening in the release of data, not the bullshit theater that we've all been watching. You and I have been explaining all this shit in Congress is all theater. It's all, kabuki. None of it matters. They have no power. They can't do anything. The ultimate authority lands at the feet of the Justice Department. And then when we see what the president did with Matthew Whitaker, our buddy Matthew Whitaker said that he basically tied Congress up and it was like a total theater mess, right? That all these people in Congress kept thinking, oh, we got him. Nah, you don't got shit, right? At the end of that, when we finally get to the Barr nomination right now, Donald Trump was giving a speech just last week in front of the sheriffs. And in that speech, he did a special shout out, call out to what a great job Matthew Whitaker had been doing. And then we get AG Barr in. He's on there. He's in there. And we move Matthew Barr. Matthew Barr. Now they've become one person. We move Matthew Whitaker to the Special Operations Center. In other words, he's the free agent sitting there, already been confirmed by the Senate, and he's sitting in a free role. He's literally not there to do it. Like, they didn't put him in a specific job. They put him as a special counselor, which essentially means he's the go-to special ops guy for the DOJ now. And he's also in a parking place. He's sitting there parked, ready to take over. Why? Because he's already been Senate confirmed. So if we fire Christopher Wray, for example, he can take over. If we fire Rod Rosenstein, for example, he can take over. Anyone, including any head. If we fired, the Department of the Interior, he can go take over. Why? Because he's already been confirmed and he stayed as an active member of the administration. So I'm just based on all these data points lining up, I'm saying Donald Trump's winning and A.G. Whitaker did his job.
Yeah, I guess a question that keeps bubbling to the surface for me, James, is why would McCabe be doing this? Now, people can say a lot of things and, like just reactionary answers to that, like, oh, he's scared. That doesn't cut it for mine. There's got to be something else at play here, because if these people are operating in some kind of criminal cabal, or if they were engaged, they don't even have to be part of a cabal. Let's just say, let's give them the best possible situation here, right? The best possible defense. They were a group of bureaucrats who at a particular time engaged in a discussion, using their First Amendment right. We'll even say that. Contemplating the possibility that the president could be removed by using the 25th Amendment and, operating in a political way, which is unethical in their position, to, canvass other politicians and try to get numbers. That's something that, the whip does, generally speaking, is like figure out how many votes you can have for a certain movement or a certain policy or a certain agenda in a political sense. But so these guys were acting as political operatives in, the Justice Department and the FBI. That's highly unethical, right? In terms of it being legal, I guess it all comes down to detail, and a lot of those details we aren't privy to, right? So it would be a thing like, is there paperwork to back this up? Did they actually break the law in what they were doing, or was the discussion just skirting close enough to being legal but highly unethical to get away with it, kind of thing? Do you see what I'm saying here? So I tend to think that for all their faults and for all of their lack of political instincts, people like Andrew McCabe probably understand at some point how close they can get to the law without breaking it, and where they can bend it and where they can apply it, which then adds to the layer of cynicism that I have to see Lindsey Graham out there saying, oh, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to get to the bottom of this. I'll tell you what, we're going to ask him all them questions in the Senate there. We're going to ask him some tough questions. We got some tough questions for Andrew McCabe, I'll tell you what. So that layer of cynicism for me, because Lindsey Graham's one of these politicians that loves to look like he's doing something without actually doing something. He's a classic politician in that regard. So, I guess time will tell, or am I seeing it wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. Is that, look, McCabe said it himself, and I like to take people at their word, even when they're liars, because until I can pinpoint the lie, like generally a good liar is someone who tells the truth 98% of the time. It's that 2% that's lying, right? And so generally what he's doing here is he told everybody, I'm going to burn the shit down, right? You guys fire me, I'm going to burn the whole fucking game down. That's so right. If you look at that too, he's also, no matter which side of that ball you fall on, whether good guy, bad guy, black hat, white hat, doesn't really matter. His objective is still the same. His objective is to screw the whole fucking thing up. And so, he is the chaos in the machinery right now. Let me get back and clarify something real quick, because the chat room went a little bit after me. What I'm talking about is, no, he was not ever confirmed as a head of department, but The chief of staff is a confirmable position, just like a write-down, just like the assistant to the acting attorney, or what do you call it, the deputies, okay? He's a tier 1, which he told you in the congressional hearing that he was just in. So that's why that there's a 3-person choice that the president has who can fill in the heads of departments. So he's at that top tier. So you see what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. No, he was never, just like Pompeo had to reconfirm, right? He's not confirmed as the top guy, but he's already been a write-down. He's already cleared all that. They said, yeah, he's good. He can be the assistant to the deputy or whatever. So all that's what I'm saying. He's a tier 1 guy. He can fill in as leadership in that temporary, 410-day role. And he can do that twice. So he does not have to be confirmed in his current position. He's in a parking space, and he is still an active member with all security clearances of the administration. The Senate can do nothing to him unless Donald Trump makes a full-time permanent appointment to a head cabinet position. So as long or as he might have to be reconfirmed too as a deputy, but that would be as the number 1, like, a deputy director of, you know what I'm saying? But he's a tier 1 guy. That's why he was able to step in instead of Rod Rosenstein, because he was Rosenstein's equal when it comes to that. So you see what I'm saying? That's what you have to understand.
Sure. And another thing, just before we move on to the next topic here, James, with McCabe going on this PR campaign to save his own ass, someone in the chat said he's trying to save his own ass. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I tend to agree with, right? And, you know, he's trying to offer up the sacrifice of Rod Rosenstein in place of himself. Oh, it wasn't my fault. It was Rod Rosenstein's fault. And here's the tantalizing part for all of this. For so long, here's another truthism I want to put out there, and I've got no statistical evidence to back this up whatsoever. It's just a hunch. I tend to think that most cover-ups are an attempt to hide incompetence rather than criminality. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, a police department will cover up something where it's shown that they fucked up really bad and like let a murderer go free or something like that, rather than, you know, the act of covering up itself might be criminal, but the initial thing that they're trying to cover up might not be. It might just be a case of incompetence. So what happens with Andrew McCabe doing this? What happens then is the focus gets turned to Rod Rosenstein. And then Rod Rosenstein looks around and says, well, hey, it wasn't all my fault. That guy was in on it too. And then the next person says, whoa, don't drag me into this. It was that person over there. All of a sudden, dominoes start to fall, right? In a very public way. And you'll have people explaining themselves. And what's interesting about all this is probably hurting the Democrats in a big way if you expand out long term, like into 2020, to have this shit kind of rolling around in the system. We know that they want as many investigations into Donald Trump during the 2020 election campaign. We know this into the presidential campaign. It doesn't even matter if the investigations are, accurate or reasonable. It won't matter. They'll be investigating, what size shoe he has, kind of thing. It won't matter.
Did you see Schiff? Did you see Schiff? Do you have that? Are we going to go to Schiff?
No, I don't have Schiff. What did he do? What did he do?
So Schiff literally already gave up the game. This is how leaky this sumbitch is. He literally said Mueller just didn't get enough for them, so now they have to go further. So he's already told you exactly what you just said. He's confirming you. He's telling you, yeah, we didn't have enough shit from Mueller. He's done. He's over with. So we're going to go ahead and fuck up some more shit over here.
Exactly. That's going to be their strategy. They want as many investigations rolling forward. That's the tantalizing part. On the other side, you're going to have people like McCabe and Rosenstein out there trying to save their own ass, saying, yeah, we weren't really trying to depose the president. Yet at the same time, the Democrats are going to be saying everything that Donald Trump says about them trying to remove him as president, it's all made up. It's all fantasy. It's right-wing conspiracy theory. And you'll have Andrew McCabe and Rod Rosenstein in the papers every single day saying exactly that. So I find it very interesting. Here's another article for you, James, from the New York Times. Strategically speaking, James, Republicans are already demonizing Democrats as socialists and baby killers. Demonizing. It's the easiest demonization campaign of all time because all you have to do is use their own words. Look at this. Some Republicans have seized on actions by representatives. Oh, conservatives pounce, right? Conservatives pounce again, James. by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib to cast them as radical or anti-Semitic. Casting them as radical. Ah, yes. I guess, you know, the Green New Deal where you need to eliminate cow farts and you need trains, right? You need to rebuild every single building in the United States. That's, you know, them saying that isn't radical, pointing out how ridiculous it is in a logical sense. That's the extreme part. Don't do that. You're demonizing them. You've got to be fair. In the 116th Congress, James, if you're a Democrat, you're either a socialist, a baby killer, or an anti-Semite. No, that's not true. That's not true. And what we've done here on this show is tell you the truth. And that is the hard left tip that has been elected into this Congress is actually in the minority. Most of the Democrats who were elected came from purple districts or districts newly won from Republicans, James. We were talking about this 6 months before the midterms, that in these districts, they were going to be running very moderate people on moderate platforms, right? And we were talking about veterans, like in some districts. Hey, this guy could be a Republican for all we know, the way he talks. We went through all this. So that's the reality here. Now, we understand the reality. The Democrats are terrified that this minority of hard left socialists are going to tarnish their image and drag them to the left, which means it's going to be very difficult for those people who won in the purple districts, James, from Republicans to hold their seats in 2020. That's the game. So how do you, we've spoken about this concept before, getting ahead of the story. Oh, no. The Republicans are trying to cast all Democrats as radical socialists and baby killers. No, we're not. You're actually trying to protect the reputation of those Democrats in very marginal districts by saying that the Republicans think that they're all baby killers and anti-Semites. Do you see? Trying to circle the wagons.
Real quick, let me play. I literally have AOC's response to what you just said.
Oh, beautiful.
Let me play her response.
Oh, you gotta warn me for stuff like that. You gotta warn me. You gotta warn me for stuff like that. That at least is what Republicans want voters to think, James, as they seek. Yeah, well, see, this is campaigning, isn't it? The Democrats want voters to think that anybody who votes for Donald Trump is a racist. So, like, what are we talking about here? As they seek to demonize Democrats well in advance of the 2020 elections by painting them as left-wing crazies who will destroy the American economy, murder newborn babies, and turn a blind eye to bigotry against the Jews. So in regards to this, you know, demonization campaign that Republicans are apparently waging, James, against Democrats, I thought, okay, I guess their words have been mischaracterized. I guess we're taking comments out of context. I know this has been played a million times, but let's do it one more time, shall we?
How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion?
Look at this demonization happening.
Indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman.
Or physical health.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about the mental health.
Yep.
So, I mean, through the third trimester.
Through the third
trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay. But to the end of the third trimester.
The end of the third trimester.
I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
So
okay. There's no limit in the bill. No limit. No limit. This is a Democrat. This just in case you're wondering, this video has not been doctored or edited in any way. This isn't special effects. This is the person's actual voice. This is their actual quote or caught on camera.
Where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth. She has physical signs of that she is about to give a birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
I
know it's a tough one, honey. She doesn't want to say it. She doesn't want to say it.
That would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would
I understand
make
that. I'm asking if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
Ah, okay. So my bill
took ownership.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Democrat bill. It's a Democrat bill. But apparently the Republicans are trying to they're trying to characterize Democrats as people who want to murder newborn babies. And let me show you how bad journalism is now, James. This is one of the worst segues I have ever seen. Thinking about the topic we just went over, thinking about the video we just saw, look at the very next sentence in this New York Times article. This is utterly fantastic. The unusually aggressive assault, which Republican official strategists outline in interviews last week, is meant to strangle the new Democratic majority in its infancy. Boom! Yes. Isn't that a beautiful like for like? Hey, don't cast us as baby killers, but the Republicans are trying to strangle infants. Well done, New York Times. I love shit like that. James, are you trying to unfairly characterize people who want to be, out there on social media, want to be on the front page of the paper? Ilhan Omar, Ocasio-Cortez, the left-wing radicals, the presidential candidates, Kirsten Gillibrand running so far to the left, she's about to do a Thelma and Louise off the ideological cliff. Cory Booker, right? These people are doing it themselves, aren't they? They're running to the left themselves, and they're putting in danger the moderate people who were elected for the Democrat Party in these, swingy districts. And people say, oh, they're not real moderates. I get that. But they ran on moderate platforms in order to win. So they're putting them at risk, are they not? Shouldn't politics be about attacking the flaws in the opponent's arguments? Isn't that what it's all about here? What the hell are these people talking about?
Oh, no, you hit the nail on the head. These people are running left. And you know what? It's freaking brilliant, and I absolutely love that part. This is what you and I have been talking about a lot of time, is that, look, you have to understand why AOC is dangerous. And it has a lot more to do than just this. There's a lot more to do than just cow farts, okay? She's dangerous because she is the chaos agent in the system. She's over there, and they're learning the wrong lessons, and the media is firing her up. So what's going to happen is they're actually going to probably lose the next election, but what they're doing is they're injecting her radicalism into the Democrat Party at a higher level. Right now, the long-term Democrats, the Liz Warrens, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, they can't stand AOC, and they're trying to sabotage her. Correct. AOC, on the other hand, is on the side of the media darling. She's being highlighted everywhere. And so you have the leadership trying to feed the media, go cover AOC, and you have the radical agenda of the left getting the media to go cover AOC. So what do you end up with? You end up with full-time, nonstop AOC front page. And what is that doing? It's injecting her into the zeitgeist. Forget about whether she's retarded. We know she is. Forget about the fact that she's out of her mind and doesn't know what she's talking about. We know that's true. Forget about the fact that the college that gave her a degree should be dismantled, never allowed to give a degree to anyone, because literally gave this woman a degree in economics, and she thinks that she just saved $2 billion by kicking Amazon out of New York. What? This person is just absolutely retarded, but they're injecting that crazy into the zeitgeist, and that's why she's so damn dangerous.
Yeah, and I just wonder, if the moderate Democrats, how much do you believe in your party right now? How bad do you want it? The revolution that occurred on the Republican side, and again, I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be corrected. I'm saying this strictly as an outsider looking in. And it appeared to me that there was a revolution within the Republican Party, and an attempt by, people like the Tea Party movement, or people who were just fed up with the establishment of the Republican Party being a little bit weak-kneed, not being prepared to stand up for things anymore. So they wanted a bully. They wanted a guy who would get in there, stick his elbows out, and, upset a few people. And, not somebody who gets invited to the dinner, but somebody who kicks the door down and upturns the buffet. That's what they were looking for, and that's exactly what they got. And they overcame the powers within not only, the corporate media and the establishment of the Democrats, but their own party as well. And they've taken over the Republican Party to a large degree. It's not 100%, but it's definitely a fighting effort, put it that way. So when I see, moderate Democrats and blue dogs, the few remaining that there are around the place, they're all too willing to just go along with this. They're all too willing to, you know, clap and cheer people like Ocasio-Cortez. If there was an Ocasio-Cortez character in the Republican Party, I think most, you know, Trump supporters would have no problem whatsoever saying, oh, no, not this fucking guy again. You know, I don't want to hear from this prick again. I'm sick of this. This guy's an idiot. I don't want him around. Get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. They were already doing that with Paul Ryan, right? You know, like, so this has already happened. And I think that's what has to happen. But I want to move on here, James, to something that one of our viewers, Sandra, sent in. Have you heard of Jussie Smollett? Neither had I until like 2 weeks ago. I'd never heard of him. Never heard of the guy. But this is apparently on Brian Stelter's show, James. Check this out. Exactly.
Brian, you're our media expert. I'll give you the last word. How does he use the media, perhaps?
You're our media expert. You're our media expert. Yeah. Yeah. James, do you think I could be a media expert one day? Everything that Donald Trump sees on Fox News, he says. Thank you. Well done, media expert. Thank you for breaking that down, media expert.
Forward.
I think in retrospect, that Good Morning America interview, which allowed him to tell his side of the story, that just made things worse for him. And perhaps the questioning was not tough enough on Good Morning America. But ultimately, this is not about the media or about politicians or activists or any of the people that might have been fooled. It's about Jussie. And
it's all about Jussie.
I agree with what everyone else has said. This is about why he might, and so far we don't know, but why he might have made this up. It just boggles the mind, Anna.
Oh, we've got no idea. Look at this. Look at what Brian Stelter is trying to say here. This is nothing. This is not about politics or activism. The guy said he was attacked by two people wearing red hats who said, "This is Donald Trump country, motherfucker." You know what I mean? This nothing to do with politics. Nothing to do with politics. Wait, I thought it was all about Donald Trump fans and how much they hate gay black people. No. Nothing to do with politics. Well, what about the media? You know, a lot of people were saying, wait, there's a couple of holes in this story. I don't think we should be jumping on the Donald Trump fan hate bandwagon just yet. No. This is absolutely what we say it is. White Donald Trump supporters with their red hats of death choking the life and dreams out of an innocent black man just because he wanted a sandwich at 2 a.m, you disgusting pigs. No. This isn't about the media. This isn't about the media. I tell you what it's about. It's about Jussie, and we don't know for sure. I mean, we've got to be careful. We don't want to jump to conclusions here. Like, nobody's jumping to conclusions, but maybe, just slightly, there might be a teeny little chance that he might have made it up. And that's the real story. Forget the 10,000-pound gorilla sitting in the corner of the room, ladies and gentlemen. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. This has nothing to do with media. This has nothing to do with politics or activists, you disgusting MAGA bastards. This is all about Jussie. James, where's your sympathy? Do you have empathy? You should. You're not a hater, are you?
I got to correct you on your bigotry, though. The MAGA people didn't hate him because he was a gay black person. They hated him because he was a gay. That's one category. Yes. And then he was a black person, another category. So you gave it the optics of we only hated him because he was one type of person, but we actually hated him because two types of people. We gotta own that bigotry, right? Yes. These people are fucking insane. Like look at this. They bought it. The media bought this story, like swallowed it whole, ran nonstop with it for like a week solid, and they literally didn't even question the fact that it was like the coldest night in the United States, any location there of the entire year. And that's the night that a millionaire decided to go outside and walk
for a sandwich
alone in Chicago at 2 for a Subway sandwich. What? Look, rich people order their shit in. They have people deliver that shit. They don't go walking minus 40 fucking degrees to get a Subway sandwich. It was like, you're full of shit from the second I heard the story. But the mainstream media said, no, MAGA hates him. That's right. Go. We gotta blast this everywhere. Like, it's just a nonstop, one after the other, lie after lie after lie. And then you get Brian Stelter to come out there and go on camera and say, that this has nothing to do with the media. God, Ryan, like this is like, can you say, I'm going to do everything I can as the media expert to cover everybody's ass with just this one simple statement? It's all about Jussie. No, fuckface. It's all about you at CNN.
Absolutely, James. Let's keep this thing going. Let's keep on a hot streak here. Scholar, this is from our favorite publication, Salon. Scholar Matt Sears, someday MAGA hats will be shameful secrets like clan robes. There'll be pictures. Oh, can't you see it now, James? There'll be pictures in your high school yearbook 40 years from now. Were you wearing a MAGA hat, you disgusting bastard? Shameful secrets like clan robes, I guess only if you're a Democrat, right? Only if you're a Democrat. Then it's a problem. There's Mr. Northam. Has he stepped down yet, by the way, James?
No. Actually, the politics in Virginia are fucking insane. Have you heard about this? Like, so all three the top players, they're all in line to be the governor, all from the governor, the lieutenant governor, and I guess the secretary of state, right? All of them have scandals. And you know what's funny about Democrats? You know who the one guy is that's probably going to be forced out? The black guy.
Oh, no. Maybe he can get a deal advertising for Subway, James. Maybe that'll be the way to go. Scholar and Washington Post columnist says those who wear MAGA hats are morally accountable for Trump's actions. Wow, just like that, in one subheading, Salon has overturned 4,000 years of, Greco-Roman philosophical tradition. Now you, James, if you put on a hat and somebody in not even another state for you, another continent, because remember, you're in Hawaii, Trump's in D.C., if you put on a red MAGA hat and Donald Trump says something that Salon doesn't like, it's your fault. I love this. This guy's a scholar, by the way. This guy's a scholar. It gets better. It gets better. Look at this. Last week, during a rally in the border city of El Paso, Texas, before thousands of his most adoring fans, James, Donald Trump showed America and the world again who he really is. Trump worked his audience up into a fever pitch as he lambasted and threatened the news media and the free press. For Trump and his movement, they are the enemy of the people. This is a fundamental principle of authoritarianism. One of Trump's MAGA hat-wearing supporters responded to the president's incitement by physically attacking a BBC cameraman named Ron Skeens. During the same speech, Donald Trump lied about his imaginary wall along the US-Mexico border and about, quote-unquote, illegal immigrants, as if there is such a thing, right, who come to America in order to commit crimes against white people, James. He spun vainglorious stories out of whole cloth about his accomplishments and greatness. Donald Trump's values and beliefs may appear incoherent, but they are not a buffet or a la carte meal from which a person can pick and choose from. Rather, they are a nasty, incestuous knot that cannot be easily untangled. Ultimately, to wear one of Donald Trump's MAGA hats or his other regalia is to share and endorse his racism, sexism, nativism, bigotry, and antisocial behavior. To utter the words "Make America Great Again" with no sense of irony or foreboding, James, is to announce one's betrayal of human decency and distrust of democracy. Yes, if you wear a red hat and say "Make America Great Again," it's because you hate democracy. How did Trump's MAGA hats and other clothing and slogans help to create a sense of political community for his followers? Is Make America Great Again, James, an implicit threat against non-whites, Muslims, and others that he and his followers deem to be the type of enemy other? Does Trumpism represent larger cultural battles in America about the role of academics, teachers, intellectuals, and other experts in public life? Should Trump supporters be held morally accountable for their political decision-making and the harm they are causing to American society? And I won't bore you with the rest, but they go on to interview this intellectual who obviously agrees with all of these loaded premises, as you can read for yourself in this article. So there you go. There's a big mistrust about intellectualism in the modern day, James. And I couldn't possibly understand why. But then again, I guess if you're wearing a MAGA red hat today, you will be hiding in the closet 20 years from now because of your distaste and distrust of democracy. There you go. Take that, bigot. How do you like that? How do you like
I don't even know where to go. These people are absolutely insane. I mean, they're literally lambasting and being a bigot to an entire class of people based on a fucking hat. Like,
yes,
they're based on a slogan. So they're literally spending, I don't even know how long it took you to read that, 5 minutes of reading worth, maybe 1,000, 1,500 words, talking about bigotry has no place in our land while being the biggest bigot to make that entire case. It's like, doesn't make any sense at all. These people are absolutely retarded. I really don't know where else we can go with that than that. I mean,
look, our hammering clip that we'll get to after this next article is going to be focused on the idiocy of calling people hypocrites. And we're going to explain why hypocrites love calling other people hypocrites, right? So we're going to show you case in point how that works. But here's the thing, James, everybody who wears, traditional Muslim outfit isn't necessarily a radical, are they? Right? Everybody who wears a yarmulke isn't necessarily a Zionist. Everybody who wears a red hat, though, is a racist, is a bigot, is a Nazi. Do you see the trend here? Rules for me, and not for thee kind of thing. So here's one more for you. Strategically speaking, the 2020 Trump strategy, James, and why scandal is our own worst enemy. I wanted to pick this because I like to highlight evidence of democratic self-reflection when it presents itself. Lucky for us, it's about once every 4 or 5 months, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. But here we go. Given how well our economy is doing, that's already a promising start from a Democrat, isn't it? Donald Trump is a surprisingly unpopular president. Well, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. Shame. We started so well.
Real quick, I just got to make this point because of that just comment right there, is that he literally is within 1 point of his highest approval rating ever since ever. So for them to make that statement, just ludicrous.
Yeah, surprisingly unpopular. The only president, surprisingly, we just read an article where they said the red hat will one day be treated like a Klan robe, and then the people turn around in the next breath and go, I've got no idea why he's so unpopular. I can't figure it out. Can you? The only president who's...
Hold on, great comment in the chat. She literally just, Kim Boyd said, I buy tiki torches just to have a backyard barbecue.
There you go. With all of your white supremacist anti-Semitic friends, I'm sure. And you're only cooking pork products on that barbecue, aren't you, you bigot? So you can't even invite a Muslim. How dare you? The only president who's been less popular at any point in this term to date has been Harry Truman, James. Yet if the past is any measure, we know he's going to play to his base. Oh, okay. Like every politician that's ever run for an election campaign ever. Right. We're going to see and hear about issues like the caravan. I mean, I'm sure Hillary Clinton in 2016, when she was talking about how the Supreme Court's job is to interpret the Constitution to best serve transgender people, I'm sure she was really playing to that evangelical base, that wasn't hers. I'm sure she was really reaching out the olive branch on that motherfucker. We're going to see and hear about issues like the caravan and the wall even more as 2020 approaches. You're damn right you are. You're damn right you are. And people will say, here's one of my favorite things to do. Just give people reality. Just give people the truth. Because you're going to get accused in the next 18 months, people of a Republican bent, that you're only talking about the wall and you're only talking about immigration to curry favor in an election campaign. And I wouldn't even bother fighting them. I'd say, of course. Because illegal immigration and the wall is a very pressing issue for a lot of people. Why wouldn't the Republicans make an election issue out of it? And I can see why you don't want to make an issue out of it, because it's a very effective weapon to wield in an election campaign, comrade. So I'm afraid we're going to continue talking about immigration. We're going to continue talking about the wall, even though you don't like it, in the hopes of getting some of your people removed from office. That's exactly what we're doing. Exactly. I'm not hiding it. That's exactly what's going on. So get used to it. Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride, because that's what we're doing. He knows he has to stoke racial fires in order to prevent people from voting differently after his first 2 years of tax cuts for the wealthy. Isn't he the most... didn't he get more votes from minority groups than George W. Bush, Mitt Romney? Isn't that all fact on the books? Am I wrong? Like, what
Statistical fact.
Statistical fact. Because of it...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm done. We're putting on the greatest show ever. No, you go. No, you go.
No, you go.
No, it's just...
We're polite.
I don't want to talk anymore.
It's like a couple of Englishmen enjoying a cup of tea, isn't it? Oh, you go first, please.
I don't even know what I was going to say anymore. I'm laughing too hard. That's a statistical fact. But the left, this is what I was going to say. The left literally just gave Donald Trump the win with their bullshit restriction bill that they tried to pass through as wall funding. We just created, we didn't even create it. That's why I love this article that you're reading. The left just created that Donald Trump gets to run on the wall twice. Every Republican now for the next campaign season. But look, we just got done showing them that they couldn't even believe it. 70% of the country agrees with Donald Trump and his immigration stance. 70% of people. Yes. So when you got that number and then you allow us to run on immigration again, like, it's amazing. It's like, why don't you just hand us the next 4 elections and just give up? Just don't run anybody, save the money, build it all up for one big ass war chest, because you've already lost.
Yeah. Look, this is where it gets interesting, James, and this is where I think there's a lot of fertile ground, a lot of fertile soil to till, because I tend to think, conservative movements in Western politics, whether it be America, Canada, Australia, the tendency is to, we've got to look after our own backyard. We've got to police our own and stuff. But there has to be somebody operating, watching the other side, seeing what they're doing and exploiting weaknesses, right? Because I fundamentally don't want to make my opponent's job easier. And whatever my opponent doesn't want me to do, that's what I want to do. I mean, this is very basic logic stuff. You don't have to read The Art of War to understand this. You just have to have 2 brain cells to rub together, and it'll make perfect sense, right? But look at this. Because of his chances of reaching out beyond his base are low, the second part of the Republican strategy is to sow cynicism, fear, uncertainty, and doubt within the various constituencies that could align against him. Now, see, this is what we were talking about earlier. This is why this episode is called Strategically Speaking. We really don't have to work that hard to sow cynicism and doubt, because the Democrat Party is going to tear itself apart during this primary. Because the moderates are going to try and protect the ground that they made in the midterms in those purple districts, and the hard left do not compromise. They want to drag everybody to a hard left position, whether they like it or not, because that's what the hard left does. That's why they shoot their political opponents in the back of the head in the middle of the night. That's why they don't do compromise. They don't do deals. They force you to follow what they're doing. And if you don't agree, they bury you in mass graves in Siberia somewhere. That's how they roll. We will see character attacks from all angles seeking to divide us. Already, remember, this is a Democrat. Already, we're hearing that Kamala Harris is not black enough and that she inhaled marijuana. Well, it worked for Bill Clinton. Maybe, does she play the saxophone rather than just blow on other instruments, or what?
She some shit. Remember, it included time travel, because she was somehow smoking a joint, getting high, listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg before they ever made an album.
That's right.
I mean, this chick smoking some really good shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to criticize her on that, because that sounds like one hell of a trip. Haven't we all been there? Haven't we all been there? I recall having a glass of wine with Joan of Arc, James. These things happen. It's fine. We're hearing that Amy Klobuchar is angry with her staffers, that Beto O'Rourke isn't progressive enough. Really? Beto O'Rourke isn't progressive enough? Wow. That's frightening. That's terrifying. Simultaneously, the entire field of Democrats is too progressive, and what we really need is a billionaire centrist. Also, Kirsten Gillibrand doesn't eat chicken right. Some of this negative coverage may be seeded by various special interests who don't want an actual populist, or it may just be the nature of the daily news cycle. If it bleeds, it leads. And these days, the competition for bleeding on the internet is fierce. Do you notice the one name that this guy didn't mention here at the Daily Costs, which gives you an indication? No mention of Tulsi Gabbard. She wasn't in that little list. And what did he say? The entire some of this negative coverage may be seeded by various special interests who don't want an actual populist. Now, I saw a Periscope the other day with Tulsi Gabbard doing a little bit of a Q&A, James, with some local constituents. And there she was running on the anti-corporate agenda, the anti-special interests agenda. I don't think she's got a chance to win. I don't. But don't you think it's telling the fact that, see, if I'm part of the Democrats, you need a clear separation, don't you, from your opponents? So they need to find things that are clearly they're not with Donald Trump on. Okay, I get that, because otherwise people will say, well, why wouldn't I just vote for Donald Trump if you're exactly the same? That's part of the problem. That's why Donald Trump got elected in the first place, is because people didn't want the same from both sides. So I get that. But there are a number of issues that Trump supporters, and remembering, the blue wall states and the number of Democratic people, former Democrat voters who switched sides and voted for Donald Trump in 2016, I think there are a number of issues that cross party lines here. And I don't like I said, I don't think Gabbard can win, but I do think what we're looking for is that kind of person that runs on that anti-free trade, anti-corporate money in politics. I think that they can make some ground there. So, but what I see is right now the Democrats are too invested in like a kind of civil war where the moderates are trying to protect their ground from the hard left. Maybe somebody can sail right through the middle here and capture the party. Maybe there's a dark horse in there somewhere. And I don't think it's Gabbard, but it could be someone like that. Someone could adjust over the next 6 months and really take up that position, like fight for the middle class again. Do you know what I'm saying here? Like, that's what we need to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, I actually think you're onto something here. In my opinion, I think what they're doing with Tulsi Gabbard is they're giving her the Ron Paul treatment. They're trying to completely ignore her existence. And that's how they're going to try to do it. What's that going to do, though, is going to provide her cover. It's going to provide her cover, and people aren't even going to know who she is because she's an obscure congressional person out of the state of Hawaii. So the problem here is that I told this story before, and I'll tell it again. You got to remember, I live in Hawaii. So when they created the false nuclear missile alert, it was my ass rolling out of bed, grabbing my family, and headed down to the parking garage. So this is coming from someone who had to go through that. And literally, you have to believe it's real or you're just stupid. So I'm doing the best I can to protect my family. I'm headed down, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So
James, I don't want to interrupt, but was Tupac there singing one of his songs from the early 90s when this happened, or or was this actually real? Did this actually happen?
This actually happened.
Okay.
So I literally went live on Periscope when it was happening. Figured, fuck it. If I'm going to go out, y'all are going to watch. So I was in contact with my friends over at Your Voice America to say, hey, what the fuck is going on? Because they're going to have better sourcing than I'm going to while I'm trying to grab the family and go to the parking garage. So literally, the first person in the entire country, including the state of Hawaii, the first person to give the all clear was Tulsi Gabbard. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the governor. It wasn't the National Emergency Command Center. Nothing. The person that gave the all clear was Tulsi Gabbard. You have to, at that point, realize what was going on. And I said it then, and I'm saying it again. I knew at that point she was running for president. That was an official launch. They were giving her high profile throughout the country. Who has the power to do that? You have to understand who has the power to do that. It's not her. There's no way she did that and set that whole thing up herself. But she was part of that. She had to know it was coming, or she just was the happy-go-lucky that it's up to you to deliver it, because that just doesn't happen in these circles. That's not the way it goes. So somebody here locally, made sure that she knew to give the all clear. And that is who you have to realize the Democrat Party is. They did that. So she's been launched by official channels. She has a very serious power broker behind her. Very serious power broker. So don't just dismiss her out of hand. They are trying to treat her like the Ron Paul. But that little one action tells you that she is connected to power.
Yeah, and it's going to become, I think, like I said, I just don't think you can feasibly, I could be wrong, but I just don't see a pathway to victory for a candidate from Hawaii. You know, I think you're too far away from the power centers and the money. Like, you just don't have the money, do you, in Hawaii? You can't win a presidential nomination from Hawaii, I don't think, because you're too, like, the people in LA have their candidate, the people in New York have their candidate. Why? Because there's going to be New York issues and LA issues, right? Hawaiian issues are Hawaiian issues, but they're going to want somebody who looks out for New York. They're going to want somebody who looks out for LA. That's where the big donor money comes from. And you just can't roll like to the end of the primary season. Again, I could be wrong. Like, I could be an outsider looking in here, but I just don't see a way for Tulsi to make any real ground when push comes to shove. Am I wrong, or is there a way for her? Or?
That's why they gave her that opportunity. That's why they were increasing her national profile. Think about that. The entire world was focused on, holy shit, did they just turn Hawaii to glass? Like, the whole country. And then who did they put out so that the whole country could pay attention? Tulsi Gabbard. So that's how you increase someone's profile. I understand the traditional political way, like you're talking about, right? Like, that's why people from New York and governors and all this stuff. But look at Donald Trump, right? He's told you the mold can be broken and that the people, I mean, he got outspent 2-1. Like, and the people are ready for people like that. If Tulsi Gabbard gets launched and not resisted by her people, she's a dangerous candidate. I don't think anybody can beat Donald Trump. That's not what I'm saying. That's like off the table here. Like, I think that's true even for Boogie for the most part. We're not, you know, if we see something, oh shit, they could beat Donald Trump, we're going to call it out at that point. But right now, today, I don't think anybody's beating Donald Trump. Everything's going his way. There's traditional.
I think at this point, the only person that can beat Donald Trump is Donald Trump himself. Put it that way. And that's a possibility. That's a possibility too. If he doesn't pull his finger out on a certain couple of key issues that people want to see genuine action on very quickly, you know, all of the, well, you know, where I know you're a positive guy and I'm more of a cynical. That's what makes this show. So that's why it works. That's why we bounce off each other so much, because you look to the positive, but I tend to drift to the cynical negative side. And I think, you know, he needs more. But here's what I think is going to happen with the primary. Tulsi Gabbard, I think, is going to be used to farm those middle class votes. You know, like she's going to take away votes from Bernie Sanders, right? Now, the Democrats don't want Bernie Sanders' agenda running their party either, because Bernie Sanders is Ocasio-Cortez. They stole it from Bernie Sanders the first time around. They're not going to give it to him the next time around, okay? So she's going to be used to farm, because a lot of her crossover is, you know, middle class, anti-corporate interests, anti, you know, foreign wars, anti ridiculous trade deals, okay? There's a lot of crossover with the Bernie crowd. She's going to be used to harvest a lot of the votes from the Bernie crowd, make Bernie less effective. He drops out, and then somebody else just has to shift slightly towards Tulsi Gabbard. They'll come up to Tulsi and say, Tulsi, sorry, you don't have a chance to win. We're not backing you. We're going with this person. Tulsi comes out and endorses that person, gets all their voters on board.
And I'm going to say it again because I think I'm still the only person to say this. Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama. Well, that's a dark horse. That's a dark horse. And I heard she's hung like one too. So that's interesting.
I just think it's true. What they did in the beginning, how they were doing this world tour with Michelle, how they were putting her in all these speaking engagements. They were making sure she's getting geared up, that she could ready, and they were evaluating her. They were literally, that's what was going on. The power brokers of the Democrat Party were evaluating her. And now we look at, when I'm looking at this stage right now, I'm looking at exactly what you just said about Tulsi Gabbard is exactly the role that Elizabeth Warren is playing as well, for a completely different part of the Democrat Party. She's there for the old school, traditional, get the vote out of the blue money up there in the Northeast and all of that stuff. That's why she's there. She knows she has no chance of ever being president. She's there to farm those votes, get them engaged, involved in this process to try to take down Trump. Same thing about Tulsi Gabbard. You're right. What would the one person be that both those people would have in common? Both of those people would run to support and bring all the support behind Michelle Obama simultaneously while destroying the socialists out of their party, which we've proven nobody wants, including the Democrat Party. Elizabeth Warren's the same basic function that she's performing over there in the Northeast, right? We don't want the socialism. We're look, this is us. This is our tradition, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I'm a fucking Indian. No, I'm not a fucking Indian. I don't even know what the hell she is today, but that's the point, right? Is that's what they're doing. I posted a tweet. This is strange as shit, right? This is how the world works. I like to, when I need my brain to shut off, I look at these like bushcraft videos on YouTube, right? Guys that are out there with a knife and some rope and they make shit up. Just
love
that's what
stuff. Love that stuff.
Yeah. So this and one of the videos is this guy, and I don't even want to give him any press, but I click on this link. It's like this supposed to be Homesteader, right? And one of the things he does, like within the first 5 minutes of the video, is I got this jacket, and it's a denim jacket, right? Now, keep in mind, there's 17 feet of snow on the ground. He's somewhere like by Alaska. The guy says, I'm cold. He's got to go get his jacket. He goes and gets a denim fucking jacket. Okay, first of all, bullshit. Okay, so he gets this denim jacket, and it's got like these two white patches of Indians on the breasts, and on the back, it's got a big patch of an Indian on the back. And what does this fucking retard say? He says, I proudly donated $10,000 to Elizabeth Warren, and I got this jacket. Now, this video was released last week, well after Elizabeth Warren has admitted to the world she's a fake Indian. And this retard is proud and still doing a video of supporting Pocahontas.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is why these people get away with this shit. Because the people have money and they're stupid as shit.
Excellent. Speaking of money and stupid as shit, let's get to the favorite part of the show, James. Let's rock and roll. It's time for a hammering.
Time for the hammering.
Stop the hammering.
All right. On this week's hammering, we're talking about, James. There we go. That's better. We're talking about the fruitlessness of hypocrisy, and I want to show you why hypocrites love accusing other people of being hypocrites, which is very hypocritical, but that's what hypocrites do. They be here to, oh my God, I can't even keep up with myself sometimes. Let's rock and roll.
Maybe his party will find its spine, because now we know something crystal clear. This president will clearly do only what he thinks is best for him. Thank you for watching. CNN Tonight with D11 starts right now.
Yes. Running for president and losing $1 billion of your own personal wealth was clearly the best thing to do for him, wasn't it? Wasn't it, James? Wasn't it, Chris? You smart son of a bitch.
I hope this party finds its spine. Because
Don Lemon can barely contain himself with the faux outrage. That collective groan, he knows it well because he can actually hear it from the studio when his show comes on.
Isn't this supposed to be the party of strict constitutionalists? What happened to that and all the criticism? I just remember during remember when the last president, President Obama, towards the end of office, he was trying to get a whole lot of things done and no one was working with him. So he did, he said, I've got the power of the pen.
Yes.
And just about every Republican came out. You can't do that. You're subverting the authority of Congress, right? You're not a dictator. You're not a monarch. You're not royalty. What are you doing? And now crickets. Well, some of them are. I shouldn't say now crickets.
Now, sometimes you have to take a step back and just see what's happening here. Okay, so Barack Obama was in office. He couldn't get anything done because the Congress and the Senate refused to work with him, right? So he signed executive orders, which was fine. Now, remember the time that we're living in here, every single executive order that Donald Trump signs is illegal. It's unconstitutional, right? Remember this where we are. So now if you dare to point out, see, this is the other thing that kind of drives me nuts with these people. And again, like, I'm not going to get sucked into this bullshit. I'm going to say, no, of course he's doing exactly what Obama did, because Obama did it despite people saying you can't do it, despite people saying it was the wrong way to go. And you gave everybody a big fat middle finger. You thumbed your nose and said, fuck you, we're doing it anyway. Well, now the shoe's on the other foot, Don, isn't it? And now somebody else is telling you, is giving you the middle finger, is thumbing their nose at you and saying, fuck you, we're doing it anyway. And now you've got the balls, you've got the audacity to come on your little show and say that the people doing it now, oh my God, they used to be so against it. How can they be for it now? I don't understand. Hypocrites calling other people hypocrites, James. Let's keep going.
But a lot of them, there's enough that you hear the crickets. There may be some in there in quiet, but there's enough where the crickets sound.
There's no crickets. There's no crickets. No, people aren't hiding here. They're saying exactly what I'm telling you. Yes, Donald Trump is doing it, and he's giving you two big middle fingers, and he's saying, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway. I don't care what you think anymore, because that's what you do. So they know that, the people on the other side will just, clap along, well, you can't do that, you can't say that, you can't say that. But then it gets to a certain point where people turn around and say, you know what, we just want somebody who's going to do it. Like, I don't even care anymore. I'm sick of this shit. I just want somebody who's going to get it done, right?
I agree with you 100%. Let me interrupt. I hate to interrupt the hammering, but we have a great comment in the chat that illustrates this perfectly. Our friend, It's Me, the TFL Sith Princess in the chat, right? She says 44 versus 45, run in 2024, so that the entire country will be in a frenzy. One hell of an election. Let's think about that, right? If we start running today, like we've talked about, on letting Donald Trump run a third term, which would mean to actually change the rules so that would allow Barack Obama to run against Trump, and we could actually create a fucking Obama-Trump showdown 2024. Would that not be freaking priceless? That would be like, you want to see a civil war? Fuck, let's do that.
It makes me think of, remember that old clay animation show, Celebrity Deathmatch? That's what it would be like, I think. Let's carry on with Don.
To be apt. Look, this is why people hate politics.
Yep.
This is one of the big reasons that Trump was able to become president.
Yep.
Because the level of disaffection is so high, the expectations are so low, that when somebody comes in who seems like they're going to be disruptive and they're playing to your outrage and your anger at the system and at these other things that other people are too afraid to talk about, it's not that they're too afraid. They're too smart. They're too subtle. They're too sophisticated. But it appeals.
They're too smart. That's why they lost and he won, right? I was nearly going to give you a golf clap then. I was nearly going to give you a Mar-a-Lago style golf clap, Chris, but you fucked it up right at the end.
To you, boom. Now you've got a guy who's got a shot who should have never had one.
And should never have had one.
It continues.
What?
They said about Obama.
I thought everybody has a shot to be president. Apparently not.
Everything they truly believed, and now they say none of it. I'm not crazy about the Democrats.
But wait, do you see the massive gaslighting project that's going on here? He is operating in the way that you believe a president can. You're the ones who said if, you can't get cooperation from the Senate and the Congress, then you can just sign executive orders. You're the one who created this precedent. You're the team that wanted it to be this way. So now it is this way. I've been saying this for years, James. The institutionalized Democrat left, and cut me off if you think I'm getting this wrong, they created a new normal. They created a new normal, and we're now operating in that new normal, and now they're trying to tell you that the new normal isn't the way it's supposed to be. Well, I'm afraid it's too late for that, boys. Right?
We warned them. We fucking warned them. We were the people. We weren't screaming and acting like these guys. We didn't burn down fucking cities. We simply warned them. If you go down this path, you will regret it in the future. We told them, if you go nuclear, we will fuck you. If you do this, shove these executive orders down our throats, we will fuck you. We told you and we warned you. And you created the Trump support. You created MAGA. You got us so fucking pissed off that we're ready to grab pitchforks and torches and go shove them right up your fucking asses. We told you were going to regret it, and you fucking didn't listen.
Threatened to do the same thing, but that's the game. That's the game.
Yeah, well, As is an observer of politics, because I've sit here, and you came from a political family. You're not in D.C. You're not. But we.
He actually came from a mafia family. But let's not let facts get in the way of a good story here.
Politics every night. That's what we've been doing. Really, since Trump took office. But we're not doing the horse race, right? And the folks who are in D.C. So I'm not really a political reporter, nor a political.
Love the action there on horse race.
But I'm not, and I don't.
But every night of the week, all I do is say Trump bad, Trump bad. I'm not a political reporter. Every fucking thing I talk about is Donald Trump's hands, feet, ass, everything Trump, nonstop.
Oh, James, you know what? Today in the stock market, points were up by 75%. Tomorrow on my show, how the stock market's going. On Wednesday, we'll be talking about the stock market. On Thursday, we'll get an expert in to talk about the stock market. On Friday, I'm going to tell you how I don't report on the stock market. Right? That makes sense, doesn't it? That's how it works now, apparently. You remember, all truth is subjective, James.
I don't give a damn about Democrat or Republican.
But did he just say, I don't give a damn about Democrat or Republican? He just started the show by saying how the Republicans are ruining everything in politics. The Republicans are ruining the whole political system. I don't care about Republicans or Democrats. I don't even care about politics. I'm just a guy on TV talking about stuff like cakes and nail polish. I don't even know. I don't even know how I got a show, to tell you. I'm not even a political journalist. What the fuck do I know? But here's what I think anyway.
As an observer?
I'm an observer. That's a new job title now. What do? I'm an observer. I'm a TV host. Oh, what do you talk about? What I observe. I'm just an observer. Like Jerry Seinfeld, right? He's an observer. He can at least be funny, Don.
On the Republican side for the last few years, I can't even fathom when it comes to evangelicals and conservatives, when it comes to this president and his past and what he says and what he does, how he treats people, he cheated on his wife. Blind eye. If it happened on the Democratic side or to even the former president, Big Black Man, they all freaked out, like, oh my gosh, he wore a tan suit. And
now, see, again, James, the sexual indiscretions of Donald Trump, see, you're a hypocrite because you don't care, okay? You're supposed to care about that stuff. But do you see this massive mirror effect that's happening here, this gaslighting? I mean, fuck, JFK fucked Marilyn Monroe. Like, it doesn't get any better than that, does it? Like, that is like the pinnacle, right? That is the pinnacle of affairs, right up there. A Democrat, Kamala Harris, the guy who Kamala Harris slept with, who then appointed her to an AG role in California, came. We did the article on the show. Came out and said, "Yeah, I had an affair with her. So what? Remember? So what? Who cares? Who cares? So what?" So that the people who are telling you what you're supposed to be mad at. They aren't mad at the thing that you're supposed to be mad at. They embrace it. They love it. They think it's fine. They're mad that you're not mad at it. Do you see how insane that is? Like, James, like, let me tell you something. Does this sound like the operation of a sane, rational person to you? Okay. Now, your son or somebody in your family steals my car. Okay. But the car that they stole, I originally stole from you in the first place. So they steal it back. And I come up to you and I say, "Hey, you son of a bitch, your son just stole my car." And you say to me, but you stole it from me in the first place. I go, "Shut up, you hypocrite. What are you, against stealing now?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, your son stole. Why aren't you angry that your son stole my car, you son of a bitch? You know what I mean? This is what's happening here. This is the same thing. This is the same thing on a political level. Like, the audacity I find amazing. But people, see, this is the thing. It's not designed for logical thinkers, this shit on television. It's not. It's designed for people to just pick up the line, Republicans are being hypocrites, and then just go out and spew it. That's what it's for. It's for repeaters, not reporters, right?
Michelle Obama had her arms out. They don't say anything about the current president who,
yes, they do.
Slept with a porn star, lied about it, or
yeah, we do say things about the current president sleeping with a porn star. You know what we say? Yeah, tap that, hit that ass. Yeah, he hit that ass. Hit that ass.
I
think the former first lady, do what you want with
it. Don Lemon operates in this area where he doesn't realize that Donald Trump existed on the planet in the public eye for at least 50 years, and that everybody knew who he was, and everybody knew he was a billionaire playboy, and everybody was like, "Oh, I can't believe he married that chick. He could have done so much better." Like everybody realized what was going on all the time. Like it's a normal thing in this country, in fact, around the world, to say, "Oh, rich guy, guess what? He gets to fuck anybody he wants, whenever he wants, and they're gonna let him do it." And it's why he didn't even have a problem when they tried to ambush him with that bullshit Billy Bush tape. It's like what he was saying was just an expression of that exact thing we all know. Hey, if I get rich enough, I can fuck any woman I want. Like, that's the American way. Literally, just think of that. Like, even the women know that that's true, right? And I'm not saying that everyone. Well, that's not what I'm saying. What we're saying is that's like the zeitgeist of that type of person, that type of girl, that type of scenario, that type of wealth, that type of scenario. That's just the way it is. And these guys act like that was never an existent thing in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. And you know what? This is another thing that, James, you and I have both said this. I don't think we've talked about it on this show, but we've said it like on our own shows, which, you know, we tend to cross over sometimes because we're in the same sort of stream of thought, the way we approach these kinds of, you know, optics games. But we've both said, you know, calling the other side hypocrites, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Like, they know, everybody's a hypocrite. Like, you know, you're a hypocrite, I'm a hypocrite, they're a hypocrite, he's a hypocrite, we're all hypocrites. So if all we're doing is pointing at each other and calling each other hypocrites, that's why I'm making this point of playing this on the hammering to show you how stupid it is, right? How stupid it is to accuse somebody of being a hypocrite. But see, look at this other thing too. He's calling the evangelicals hypocrites for not demonizing Donald Trump for things he did, quote, in his past. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I watched the Kavanaugh hearings. Were they not reading from a fucking yearbook, high school yearbook? And right, but they were demonizing somebody for what they said in their past. Okay, but I thought, now I might be a pretty bad Christian. All right, I'm prepared to say that, hand on heart. I might not be the best Christian on the face of the earth, but I'm pretty sure that forgiveness is a big part of the evangelical doctrine. Isn't that kind of a thing? So, you know, again, right? Don Lemon steals your car and then gets upset when you steal it back, right? So exactly. The Democrats think it's perfectly fine to demonize people for what they do in the past, but they're calling evangelicals hypocrites for not demonizing people for what they did in the past, even though the evangelical platform is what? Don't demonize people for what they did in the past. Forgive them. Forgive them. That's what the fucking evangelicals do.
Let me clean up the chat real quick before we get back to the hammering. There's some great comments in the chat. Look, Raylene Patriot said, "I thought Stormy was back in the news when I read about the crafty beaver." Great comment. KB, Don Lemon is just jealous. Let's see, what else is? Oh yeah, the lovely Previn agrees. The American way is so true. And then we have Poppy Lane. Poppy Lane has the best. This is America. Fucking is free.
Carry on. Let's carry on with Don. Let's carry on with Don, who pays every single day.
Her body, who was a model and did, you know, nude or semi-nude pictures, that means nothing to them. And then on this thing with this president,
again, it's like I'm choked by the stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like, the stupid is so thick in the air, I can barely breathe. Oh, well, you know, why aren't they saying anything about Melania Trump, who's, you know, what is she doing? Oh, you mean she's embracing her physical attributes and making money by, you know, taking nude photographs? They've literally been saying that you can't criticize a porn star for what she does with her body in a career job. Like, hey, that's her career choice. How dare you demonize her for being a porn star, you bigot, you nasty misogynist, right? But Melania Trump, they're angry that you're not angry at it. It is so insane. Because these people will tell you that their principles are that people shouldn't be angry at it. That's what they want. So you're actually now playing by the rules that they've spent the last 40 years installing. And by not being angry at it, you are actually doing what they want, and now they're angry at you for it. It's utterly insane.
Who subverts the Congress, who's supposed to hold the power of the purse.
Yep.
They say nothing about that either. I think the hypocrisy on the Republican side is far beyond the hypocrisy on the Democratic side.
It is.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yes, there's enough hypocrisy to go around, but this is just on steroids. It is unbelievable to sit here and watch it.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you're hammering. I'm a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. They're a hypocrite because they're not angry enough that we're doing the exact same thing that they're supposed to be angry at. We endorse the things that they're not angry at and say it's wrong to be angry at them, but we're angry at them for not being angry, and that proves that they're hypocrites, and they're calling us hypocrites because why? In Don's own words, I'm a hypocrite, you're a hypocrite. Everyone's a hypocrite, but they're a bigger hypocrite than we are. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your hammering.
Stop the hammering.
Oh, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Another hammering down. I'm sorry. I have to finish this because Boogie started it. Yeah, Don Lemon has said, I'm a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites. And the line that he missed was, wouldn't you like to be a hypocrite too? So thanks for being here one more time, one more rodeo. We will be back next week, same bad time, same bad channel, right here. I think that we've agreed we're going to be the midnight show from Sunday nights. It's hard, we know. We appreciate those 162 people that stuck around and stood up with us this late at night. He's in Australia. I'm in the middle of the ocean. It's tough to get a time. It's already Monday for him. So thanks for being here. We will see you next week. I don't even know what day. Oh, yeah, it's Sunday. Duh. So this whole week we got coming up, lined up. Tomorrow, Steel Truth. Love you guys. We'll see you later.